When it comes to the impeachment trial, let's take a look at some of the arguments that we are hearing from Senate Republicans so far. Listen.
Well, first of all, I think the trial is stupid. I think it's counterproductive. We already have a flaming fire in this country, and it's like taking a bunch of gasoline and pouring it on top of the fire.
A trial after the president has left office is beyond the Senate's constitutional authority. I think a lot of Americans are going to think it's strange that the Senate is spending its time trying to convict and remove from office a man who left office a week ago.
Do you believe Donald Trump committed an impeachable offense?
To begin with, I think it's a moot point, because I think right now Donald Trump is no longer the president. He is a former president.
Yes, but they're trying to prevent him from running again because he committed crimes against our country and incited a riot on the Capitol and all that. But let's just put it aside. Then there's House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy doing his best to have his cake and eat it too. Let's go through his waffling. On January 8th, Punchbowl News reported that McCarthy got into a, quote, screaming match with President Trump, called on him to release a statement denouncing that mob that stormed the Capitol. He stood up. On January 12th, Axios reported that in a tense phone call with Trump, McCarthy told the president that it wasn't Antifa at the Capitol. He said, quote, "It's MAGA. I know. I was there." And here's what McCarthy said on January 13th.
The president bears responsibility for Wednesday's attack on Congress by mob rioters. He should have immediately denounced the mob when he saw what was unfolding.
Yes, correct. But then after, just a week after saying the president bears responsibility for the Capitol attack, McCarthy said this.
Leader McConnell has said that former President Trump and other important people provoked those folks to come to the Capitol. Do you believe that former President Trump provoked?
I don't believe he provoked if you listen to what he said at the rally.
Okay. And now in an interview that aired last night, McCarthy is doing his best, President Trump, after Charlottesville. There are bad people on both sides. Remember that? He said everyone has some responsibility for the violence that broke out on January 6th.
I thought the president had some responsibility when it came to the response. If you listen to what President said at the rally, he said, demonstrate peacefully. I also think everybody across this country has some responsibility. Think about 4 years ago after the President Trump was sworn in. What happened the very next day? The title was Resist.
Bill Kristol, help me understand this man.
It's too depressing, Mika. You know, can't we just enjoy Tom Brady's great victory and stick to that? Look, Kevin McCarthy is the Republican Party today. He doesn't really like Trump. He, to the degree he still has a conscience and principles. He's disturbed by some of the things Trump did and didn't do, but he is not going to take on the base of his party, and it is a big base. You know, I keep reading people saying, "Why won't the Republicans just throw Trump overboard?" I would love it if they did, but politically they are scared to. It's that simple, and they half agree. You know, some of them have internalized this to the degree that they are not so opposed to pressure, to violence, to intimidation, if it's on their behalf. So what's happening is McCarthy is, I think, a perfect example of where the party is, unfortunately. Whether the Senate could be different. I mean, one of the biggest things that happened on January 6th was the House voted by almost 2-1 to overturn the election results in Arizona and Pennsylvania. Really an astonishing thing. With Kevin McCarthy voting yes, the leader of the Republican Party voting on the basis of no facts at all, to overturn, to deny accreditation to the electors. And that's really astonishing. We've sort of moved past that. And we just, well, of course, 140 House Republicans voted that way. It's really unbelievable to me. The senators didn't. So the Senate is still a kind of different body, I would say, than the House. Mitch McConnell has a little bit more perspective. He has a 6-year term. He was just reelected. Ben Sasse was just reelected. Susan Collins was just reelected. Pat Toomey isn't running for reelection. I think there is some chance, as more revelations come out, as you all were saying, that the Senate looks at this and thinks, we just can't let this stand as acceptable practice. I kind of wish the impeachment article had been written more broadly to capture everything Trump did since the election to try to overturn it. The president of the United States tried to overturn a democratic, free and fair election. That's the core of it. The incitement to riot is a major part of it. The failure, the dereliction of duty while the riot was going on to do anything about it is a very major part of it. But it is a broader thing. I think the House impeachment managers know this, and they'll try to make the broader case to the senators. And I don't think it's out of the question that some of the senators will decide they don't want to go down in history looking like Kevin McCarthy.
Hey, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. You can follow up on today's top stories and breaking news, or catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.